Welcome back. The controversial US and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, known as the GHF, has confirmed it suspended operations in Gaza after the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas came into effect last Friday. The operation has been mired in controversy, with the UN saying almost 1,400 people have been shot dead near GHF aid sites since May. We've been hearing from a British doctor who spent 2 weeks in Gaza hospital in August. He told us that a quarter of his trauma cases were children with bullet wounds who alleged they were shot around those aid sites. Ruby Gleeson has this report.
This is Abdullah. He's 13 years old. He's being treated for a double gunshot injury by Dr. Saladin Sawan, a British doctor volunteering in Gaza. The wards are at full capacity, so he's recovering in the corridors. Abdullah says he was shot twice while collecting food from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF.
I went to get aid with my cousins, but they got separated from me. There was flour on the ground. There was a lady who bent down. I bent down along with her. I was just about to get up when I was shot, and while I was crawling, I was shot again.
So you had the first gunshot here?
Yes, here?
And while you were crawling, you were shot a second time?
Yes. 70 meters, nobody noticed me. Everybody was busy picking up sacks and running away.
He says it happened whilst trying to collect aid from one of these GHF aid points. Families desperately seeking aid walked for kilometres to get here. This is what hungry Gazans have needed to do to access food since May. Amid the chaos, gunfire. The GHF, backed by the US and Israel, have been distributing aid in Gaza since May, replacing hundreds of aid points run by the UN, with only 4 sites. Nearly 1,400 people have been killed trying to reach aid from those sites. That's according to the UN, who described the aid sites as a death trap. The GHF have in the past admitted to firing warning shots to disperse crowds. This is what they said in July.
Warning shots are directed upwards, in the air, and towards the coastline, not towards folks seeking aid.
The GHF insists that no aid seeker has ever been shot at or killed at any of their distribution centres. We asked them specifically about Abdullah's claims that he survived being shot at one of their sites. They said it was a completely false allegation, and they also said that people don't bend down to pick up flour at their sites because they are in boxes. The BBC understands that flour often gets transferred from boxes into sacks to take it from the sites. For 17-year-old Fathi, it's a different story. His father says he was shot by the Israeli military.
My son Fathi, on his first day, his first time out collecting aid, he was shot by a tank. The bullet went into his pelvis.
The eldest of 5, he told his father to stay home, insisting he would go himself.
My son Fathi said to me, "Dad, you are too old. You cannot carry a bag of flour on your shoulder. I am young. I can carry and bring it back to my siblings. Don't go out. Stay in the tent."
So probably the bullet came from somewhere here. It went through this bone, broke it into pieces, and went right across all the organs in the pelvis.
What began as a trip to collect aid for his family ended in his death. He didn't survive the operation. In the 2 weeks Dr. Saladin Sawan spent at Nasser Hospital, children with bullet injuries formed a quarter of his trauma caseload. All of them alleged they were collecting aid from GHF sites. The IDF told us they prohibit deliberate attacks on civilians approaching aid sites. They also say they are examining reports of such incidents and further action will be taken as necessary. The GHF has told the BBC it is not currently operating in Gaza, but hopes to resume its operations soon. This is what is left of one of their 4 aid sites. The question remains, how will aid be distributed in Gaza, and who will ensure that it's done safely? Ruby Gleeson, BBC News.
Well, this time last week we were, of course, marking the beginning of the ceasefire in Gaza. The brief euphoria that greeted the return of the living hostages and the Palestinian prisoners has given way already to the grim realities of the situation on the ground. Israel is still waiting for the return of 19 dead hostages. Hamas says it is working in good faith to find them, but simultaneously is exercising brutal control over those areas from which the Israelis withdrew. Our Middle East correspondent Yolande Knell has more from Jerusalem.
This is still very much the focus of Israeli media, the failure of Hamas to return all of the 19 remaining bodies belonging to Israel's hostages. And there are quotes of Israeli defense officials who say that they do believe that Hamas does have access to more of these bodies. The latest statement from Hamas that came out said that it was committed to the ceasefire and its implementation and was keen to return these hostages' bodies, but it said that some corpses were underground in tunnels that had been destroyed by Israel. Others were under rubble in buildings that Israel had bombed and then demolished. And it was saying there's really a shortage of this heavy lifting equipment. Now, we know that Hamas is under a lot of pressure from the mediators to act on this. They don't want to see this endangering the ceasefire deal. There was what Al Jazeera called some exclusive footage that it showed overnight, where you could see what appeared to be Hamas gunmen guarding a couple of bulldozers in Khan Yunis in the south of the Gaza Strip, apparently looking for hostages' bodies there. From what we know, there are exact locations and aerial photographs that have been handed over to the mediators by Hamas. Now, this was a subject for the Israeli Prime Minister when he was meeting his security cabinet last night, and then we know that afterwards he updated President Trump by phone.
Yolande Knell reporting from Jerusalem.